My name is Isabella Torres, and I am 39 years old. 22 years ago, my parents slammed a door so hard behind me that it rewrote the trajectory of my entire life. Last month, they knocked on my front door in Seattle like they owned it. The sound was sharp, confident, entitled. I recognized it instantly. I took my time walking across the hardwood floor. Outside, the October air carried the same chill it had the night they threw me out. Cool enough to sting, not cold enough to numb. When I opened the door, Vincent Torres stood exactly where I expected him to be, his tailored coat perfectly pressed, his jaw clenched like he was already irritated by my existence. Beside him, my mother, Sophia Torres, clutched her designer purse against her chest, as if it were a flotation device. "We're here to see the child," my father said. No greeting, no hesitation. "Our grandchild." I looked at them calmly. "What child?" I asked. The silence hit them like a slap. Sophia's lips parted, but no sound came out. Vincent's eyes narrowed, searching my face for weakness, for cracks. They found none. "You know exactly what we mean," he snapped. "Don't play games." I tilted my head. "I don't know who you are." The color drained from their faces. That moment, standing in the doorway of the home I built with my own hands, ripped open memories I had spent decades sealing shut. I was 17 when I told them I was pregnant. I remember standing in our Seattle living room, the pregnancy test trembling in my hand. I had rehearsed my words all afternoon, imagined tears, yelling, disappointment, anything but what I got. Disgust. Vincent didn't raise his voice. He adjusted his Rolex like I was an investment that had suddenly gone sour. "You're no daughter of ours," he said, cool and final. Sophia didn't even look at me. She inspected her manicured nails and sighed. "We raised you better than this," she said. "This ruins our name." 10 minutes. That's how long they gave me to pack. Sophia turned our family photo face down on the mantle like she was erasing me from existence. The click of the frame echoed louder than the door that followed. I walked out into the rain with a backpack, a few crumpled bills, and a silver bracelet I'd hidden under my mattress since middle school. The next betrayal came fast. His name was Eric Hammond. He was my boyfriend. The boy who whispered forever under stadium lights at homecoming. The boy who held my waist like he meant it. When I told him, his voice went quiet. A week later, his number was blocked. 2 days after that, a letter arrived from his parents' lawyer, denying everything and threatening legal action if I contacted him again. Stanford mattered more than me, more than us. The streets of Seattle became my world. I slept on benches near Pike Place Market, pulling my hoodie tight against the damp cold. I learned which cafes tolerated me for an hour if I bought the cheapest coffee. I rationed tears because crying took energy I couldn't afford to lose. Every rejection hardened something inside me. My parents taught me I was disposable. My boyfriend taught me love was conditional. And on a bench overlooking Elliott Bay, as dawn cracked open the sky, I made a promise. I would never beg again. I wouldn't destroy them with rage. I would dismantle them with precision. That was the morning Margaret Winters found me. She was walking her old golden retriever, her coat elegant, her posture sharp despite her age. She stopped, took one look at me, and said softly, "You're freezing, sweetheart." I tried to brush her off. She didn't let me. She sat beside me, let me cry, held me like I mattered. Then she said, "Come have breakfast with me, no questions asked." That invitation changed everything. I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment the long game began. Margaret Winters didn't save me in the way people imagine salvation. She didn't swoop in with speeches about destiny or promise that everything would magically be okay. What she did was far more dangerous to the people who had discarded me. She gave me structure. Her car smelled faintly of vanilla and old leather. The heated seats thawed my legs as we drove through quiet Seattle streets toward Queen Anne. I remember staring out the window, half expecting her to change her mind, to realize I wasn't worth the trouble. She didn't. Her home sat behind a wrought iron gate, understated but solid. Inside, everything was clean, intentional. Not luxury meant to impress, but comfort meant to last. She made me eggs and biscuits, real food. I cried into the plate. Margaret didn't ask about the pregnancy right away. She asked my name, my age, whether I could work. That was the first lesson. Survival before sympathy. She gave me a room in one of her boutique hotel properties downtown. Temporary, she said, though it lasted years. The first night, wrapped in clean sheets, I realized I hadn't slept without fear in months. The next morning, she handed me a uniform. "You're starting as a hostess," she said. "Not because it's easy, but because it teaches you to read people." She was right. I learned how to smile through insults, how to de-escalate egos twice my size, how to turn complaints into leverage. Margaret watched from a distance at first, correcting me later over coffee. "People tell you everything when they think you're beneath them," she said. "That's power, if you know how to listen." I absorbed everything. Inventory systems, scheduling, profit margins, vendor negotiations. She pulled me into her office in the afternoons, breaking down numbers like they were stories. "This," she said once, tapping a spreadsheet, "is where revenge lives. Quiet, patient." I didn't tell her about my oath on the bench. She already knew. Weeks turned into months. My body changed. The pregnancy weighed heavier as my circumstances stabilized. And then, without warning, it was gone. The miscarriage nearly broke me. I didn't scream. I didn't collapse. I went quiet. Margaret sat beside me in the hospital room, holding my hand while the doctor explained what my body had already accepted. When I cried, she let me. When I went numb, she stayed. "You didn't fail," she said softly. "Your story just changed." I didn't know how to exist without the life I'd built my future around. The empty space inside me felt endless. That's when Margaret mentioned adoption, not as a solution, as a choice. We visited a state shelter in Washington weeks later. I wasn't prepared to feel anything. I didn't want hope. Then I saw him. He was small, quiet. His eyes tracked everything, sharp, observant. When I reached into the crib, his fingers wrapped around mine like he was anchoring himself. I named him Evan, not because of blood, because of intention. Raising Evan became my second education. Margaret didn't interfere, but she guided. She enrolled him in early learning programs, later coding camps, always watching how his mind worked. By 8, he was writing simple programs. By 10, he was solving problems adults overlooked. It wasn't accidental. We built him with confidence, not entitlement. Skill, not arrogance. Talent attracts vultures, Margaret warned. One day, they'll smell him. While Evan grew, so did my circle. Margaret introduced me to Daniel Ross, her longtime attorney. Professional, precise, a man who didn't waste words. "He's not here to save you," Margaret told me. "He's here to protect you." Daniel taught me how contracts fail, how trusts shield, how language becomes a weapon if wielded correctly. Then came Lena Park from the hotel's IT department. Brilliant, quiet, the kind of woman who noticed patterns before others noticed movement. She taught me how digital footprints never truly disappear. "How to watch," she said, fingers flying across the keyboard, "without being seen." Together, we built systems. Margaret's will became a fortress. Clauses layered with intent, protections triggered by abandonment, greed, coercion. Her safe's code tied to Evan's adoption date. Not sentiment, she said, but reminder. "Blood is loud," she told me. "Paper is permanent." By my mid-30s, I wasn't surviving anymore. I was expanding. Hotels, tech investments, quiet partnerships. I stood tall enough now that my shadow brushed lives I never intended to revisit. That's when the noise started. An article here, a mention there. Evan's software, designed to optimize hospitality logistics, went viral in the Seattle tech scene. I didn't promote it, I let it breathe. Margaret smiled when the first gift arrived. A high-end tablet, engraved, a card attached, for our brilliant grandson. "Time to reconnect." She looked at me over her glasses. "They found you," she said. "Good." I felt nothing. Not anger, not fear, just readiness. The long game had officially begun. The first call came 3 days after the tablet arrived. I let it ring. Margaret watched me from across the kitchen island, her expression unreadable as she poured tea into porcelain cups she'd owned longer than I'd been alive. "Don't rush," she said. "Hunger makes people reckless." When I finally answered, I let my voice tremble just enough to sound unsure. "Hello?" Sophia cried. Not soft tears, loud ones, performative, the kind meant to be heard. "Oh, Isabella," she said, like the last 2 decades had been a misunderstanding. "We've missed you so much. We didn't know how to reach you." I said nothing. Silence unsettles liars. "We only want to reconnect," she continued quickly. "Family belongs together. Evan deserves to know where he comes from." There it was. I swallowed audibly. Let the pause stretch. "I don't think that's a good idea," I whispered. "Too many painful memories." The hook set instantly. Over the next week, the gestures escalated. Flowers, letters, packages addressed to Evan, each one more expensive than the last. I returned none of them. Instead, I sent carefully worded messages. "This is overwhelming. I'm not ready. Please understand." Every refusal tightened the noose. Lena worked quietly in the background. Every search tied to Evan's name lit up her dashboards. My parents' IP addresses hovered constantly. Washington family law, grandparent rights, inheritance loopholes. They weren't grieving parents. They were prospectors. Then Eric resurfaced. He emailed me from an address I didn't recognize. "We need to talk." Margaret laughed when I showed her. "Of course he's back," she said. "Men like him only remember doors when they smell money behind them." Eric's tone was careful at first, apologetic, regret-heavy. He talked about mistakes, youth, fear. Then came the pivot. "Evan's success is incredible," he wrote. "He deserves stability. Maybe we can work together, for his sake." I forwarded everything to Lena. Within hours, she had his financial history mapped out. Failed startup, mounting debt, offshore accounts hiding losses he hoped no one would notice. Desperation makes people sloppy. I responded once. "I don't trust easily," I wrote. "Not anymore." His reply came immediately. "Neither do I. That's why we should protect what matters." What he meant was, protect what pays. My parents cornered Evan one afternoon outside a coffee shop near his office. I'd prepared him for this moment, how to stay polite, distant, untouchable. Sophia reached for his arm. "We're family," she said, voice trembling just right. "We just want time." Evan smiled politely and stepped back. "My family is busy," he said. "Please don't contact me again." Vincent's expression hardened. That night, Sophia posted on social media, "A mother's heart never forgets. Some wounds deserve healing." Lena traced the engagement spike in minutes. Bots. Paid amplification. A PR firm based in Bellevue. Manufactured pity. They were trying to control the narrative. So I fed them one. In a monitored call, I casually mentioned Evan's software might be worth 8 figures if it scaled internationally. I said it like an accident, like a tired mother confiding in people who didn't deserve it. The reaction was immediate. Search activity spiked. Calls flew between Vincent and Eric. Emails leaked through Lena's intercepts showed frantic calculations, percentages, timelines. Eric pushed harder. "Think about Evan's future," he said in a voicemail, his tone oily. "I'm his father. I have rights." That voicemail became evidence. Then came the threat. Vincent's lawyer filed a notice. Grandparent visitation rights, inheritance interest, claims of emotional harm due to estrangement. Sloppy. Daniel dismantled it in an hour. "They're rushing," he said calmly. "That means they're scared." I kept refusing contact. Each no felt personal to them now. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted control. Lena escalated the chaos. Anonymous emails planted seeds of distrust. One to my parents, suggesting Eric planned to skim funds. Another to Eric implying Vincent intended to cut him out once access was secured. The replies were explosive. "You're playing us," Vincent wrote. "You never trusted me," Eric snapped back. Recorded. Logged. Time-stamped. Their paranoia peaked. Vincent confronted Eric in a call Lena routed through our systems. "You think we don't see what you're doing?" Vincent hissed. "You're the greedy one," Eric shot back. "I'm just smarter." They were devouring each other. The final push came when their lawyer filed a formal lawsuit. Grandparent rights, financial interest, public sympathy baked into the language. That was the signal. Daniel smiled when he read it. "They walked into the room," he said. "Now we turn on the lights." Evan's keynote at the Seattle Tech Innovation Summit was already scheduled. The stage was set. They had no idea what was coming. The Seattle Tech Innovation Summit had never been this quiet. 500 people sat shoulder to shoulder, the glow of the massive LED screen washing the room in blue light. Investors, journalists, founders, cameras streaming live to tens of thousands online. Front row, center aisle, Vincent Torres, Sophia Torres, Eric Hammond. They looked polished, confident, certain this was the moment they would reclaim what they believed was theirs. Evan stepped onto the stage alone. No notes, no suit, just a sharp blazer and steady eyes. "I want to start," he said, voice calm, "by talking about family." I felt Vincent straighten in his seat. "Not the kind you're born into," Evan continued, "but the kind that chooses you. The kind that shows up when you have nothing. The kind that doesn't disappear when things get hard." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I watched Sophia's smile tighten. Behind Evan, the screen flickered. Margaret Winters appeared. Recorded months before her death, her posture still commanding, her eyes sharp. "Family," Margaret said evenly, "is not a claim you make when someone becomes valuable. It's a commitment you keep when they are vulnerable." The room went still. Vincent's jaw clenched. Margaret continued. "I've seen too many cowards abandon their own blood only to return when success makes the sacrifice look worthwhile. Let me be clear. Greed disqualifies you from belonging." Sophia's hand trembled on her purse. Evan stepped aside. That's when Daniel walked onto the stage. No drama, no flourish, just a folder. "These documents," he said, voice clinical, "were signed 22 years ago." The screen changed. Large. Undeniable. "We, Vincent Torres and Sophia Torres, hereby relinquish all parental rights to Isabella Torres and any offspring, born or unborn." Gasps filled the room. Phones lifted, zoomed. Their signatures glared back at them in high resolution. Sophia whispered, "That's not—" Daniel didn't stop. "Next," he said. Emails appeared. Messages between Vincent, Sophia, and Eric discussing leverage, percentages, emotional pressure, fabricated reconciliation. Eric's voice played next. "We can use her guilt. She's still weak there." A low, collective inhale swept the audience. Security shifted. Daniel closed the folder. Then I stood. Every camera found me. I walked to the microphone slowly, calmly. "You came to my door," I said, my voice steady, "demanding a child you abandoned." Vincent stared at me, pale. "There is no biological grandchild," I continued. "Your cruelty drove me to a miscarriage at 17. Sophia sobbed. "Evan is my son because I chose him, not because you deserve him." The room erupted. Daniel raised a hand. "Emergency restraining orders have been issued," he announced. "Effective immediately." Security moved in. Vincent shouted. Eric swore. Sophia cried. All of it streamed live. They were escorted out beneath flashing cameras, their power evaporating in real time. I felt nothing. Not triumph. Release. The fallout was immediate. Within 48 hours, Vincent's investment firm lost 4 major clients. Board members cited irreparable reputational damage. He was forced out within the week. Their penthouse sold at a loss. Tacoma replaced Seattle. Eric didn't fare better. Lena's trail reached the IRS. $600,000 in unpaid taxes. Offshore accounts. Fraud. Federal charges followed. I didn't intervene. Margaret's will held. Every challenge collapsed. And then something better. The Margaret Winters Foundation for Young Women launched quietly. Funded by her estate, built with purpose. At the opening ceremony, surrounded by women who reminded me of myself at 17, I felt peace for the first time in decades. Daniel stood beside me. I pulled a ring from my pocket. "Will you help me protect this family?" I asked. He said yes. Evan laughed. I smiled. My parents wanted a grandchild to exploit. Instead, they created a woman they could never control. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming untouchable.